Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we're going to do something a little different. Sometimes I like to cover news pieces, and in this video, that's what we are going to do, and it really does pertain mostly to Europe. But if it affects Europe, it affects the UK as well. So let's go ahead and get into these news pieces, and I'm going to cover them. So I'm hearing that the gas in Germany is over €2. Why is that? Well, because the Straits of Hormuz was closed, or is partially closed right now, because of what's going on with Iran, the United States, and Israel. And Vladimir Putin has said himself he may cut natural gas, oil, into Europe. And if that does happen, it would cause issues with Europe's economy. It's going to cause issues with Europe's economy anyways, whether Vladimir Putin cuts it off or he doesn't. Because many European countries depend on the Straits of Hormuz. And they're not getting their oil and gas right now, or it's very limited, let's just say that. Also, I want to mention that Russia is backing away from Europe, diverting liquefied natural gas from Europe and moving it mostly into Asia. Now, I think he will most likely supply it maybe to the Hungarian people, but I don't know. Basically, what this means for Europe, though, is they will get less energy gas from Russia. Some people may say that's a good thing. Some people may say that's a bad thing. But is Europe prepared to build and divert their own oil and gas? That's the problem. There's no solution yet. So even though Russia is putting, say, pressure into Europe, and this is happening for several reasons, but the main thing is because of what's going on in Iran. True. And the governments have said the gas deliveries will soon be diverted. Did you hear that? So the Middle East conflict is causing economic pressure on a global level and global energies. Now, remember I put a video out about the Straits of Hormuz and how I felt like it was really going to affect us globally, choking us from, oil and gas. I think this rings to be true. And did you guys know that on Monday, oil prices did surge up to 30%? That's very significant. Now I want to move on to Zelensky. Mr. Zelensky. This man, leader of Ukraine, has publicly threatened Mr. Viktor Orban, the Prime Minister of Hungary.
I am warning you, stop blocking our aid immediately, or there will be severe repercussions.
Using Ukrainian soldiers. Mr. Zelensky, the actor, has publicly threatened Mr. Viktor Orban. Look it up yourself. It's public, not a prediction. This is public. And the reason all of this is happening is because of a disagreement pertaining to a EU loan and a damaged oil pipeline. So it's all over, again, money. So again, Zelensky sends out a strong warning to the Hungarian leader, and honestly, Budapest reacts with outrage. They actually came out publicly and really contested what Zelensky said. That's because it looks like this country looks up to their leader to some degree. I haven't done a lot of statistic research on Hungary, but I've always wanted to go visit Budapest. Might look into that just to see what's going on over there. Now you have to remember the pipeline that I'm speaking about is highly in demand for not just Hungary, but also Slovakia. These two countries highly depend on this particular pipeline because almost all of the oil comes from it, from what I understand, if I heard it correctly. So the Hungarian government has come to a realization that the pipeline that we were talking about isn't damaged, but rather being used as a political chokehold tactic. And it's being held up due to political reasons. Well, there you go. Because why? The 90 bill and the loan, right? It's all connected to this loan and Zelensky and some of the dirty European leaders.
The new interconnector pipeline between Hungary and Slovakia is facing a political holdup, casting doubt on the region's energy security.
So is the pipeline actually damaged? I'll make a little prediction. I don't think it is. I don't think it is. I think it's shut off. That's what I think. Or partially dismantled, but it can be fixed. Now, because of Hungary's thoughts of this pipeline actually working but being held back where they can't use it because of political tactics, my understanding is that Hungary will use a veto
Orban will veto and
in order to block the 90 billion euro loan to Ukraine. So Zelensky, he is a hothead, and his regime is a hothead. That's why they have not made any leeway whatsoever, because they don't know how to negotiate. Now, when you convert that 90 billion in euros into US dollars, it comes out to be 103.5 billion. Now, I use the standard euro calculator, so I don't know if it's different in each European country, like the value of the euro, but it comes out to be around 103.5 billion. And that's a lot of money, especially because it's Europe. You guys are already in a chokehold economically, you know? How much more money does this man expect you all to give? Whether you agree with me or you disagree with me, I don't think the money that's given to fund this war is going to actually, it's not actually going to fund the war. It goes into the pockets of the regime itself. And to some of the European leaders, they are actually benefiting. They're piggybacking off of this. That's what I believe.
I'm going to unconfide. I'm going to buy a new off-tree. I'm going to buy a new car today.
So when Zelensky found out about this, when he found out about it, the veto, he made a threat to the Hungarian Prime Minister. He made a public threat. Zelensky goes on to say, I hope the EU will not block the 90 billion in euros loan to Ukraine. The Ukrainian fighters will get weapons. Let me back up. The Ukrainian fighters will get weapons, receive weapons, and we will give out an address to our people, and they will call him directly. So basically what he's saying is, my people are on standby over there, already in your country, and we will give them weapons, and they will actually make a threat to Orban. That's what this means, directly, okay?
Ukrainian troops moved in on this house in the region earlier today. Armored vehicles carried a small unit to the property after intelligence suggested a wanted suspect might be inside. Soldiers secured the yard and surrounded the entrance before knocking on the door.
And that is a threat to the Hungarian leader. And the Hungarian government and the citizens that live there are not happy with Zelensky's threats whatsoever, calling it blackmail and pushing and going beyond the limits of the Hungarian people. And I did hear a few of the commenters that live in Hungary. They said they will not be blackmailed. Their government should not have to do this. And so the people were sticking together over there. Not something we're used to seeing, you know? So a few days later, after all of this happens, there were employees connected to a Ukrainian bank in Hungary. They were arrested in Budapest driving a money transport van. This is about 3 days after Zelensky makes that threat to Orban. I believe it was 2 or 3 people were arrested. And what they found inside of the money transport van was millions of euros, your European dollars, and they actually found some gold. I can't imagine, like, gold bars, or was it a gold pass? I'm not sure, but that's what I read. That's what I heard. Still trying to confirm some of this, but it sounds true to me. So the Hungarian authorities confiscated what was located in the van that the Ukrainian personnel that work at this bank were trying to take out of the country to smuggle it. This is what I'm talking about when I say money, whether it's American money, European money, it is being smuggled in to Ukraine as a hub and transported into the hands of certain people. I try to tell you all that. Allegedly, not facts here. Currently, there's a lot going on in Iran that's taking place. But we also have a conflict happening with the people of Slovakia, or the governments, Slovakia, Hungary, and Ukraine, which causes a bigger issue with energy, economically, huge. And something has to be done about it. They will. I'm not going to say they're going to have to. They will have to. They're going to have to remove that regime in Ukraine. In my opinion, that's what I see. So the global economy is being affected by what's happening in the Middle East, oil prices, gas prices. And it's affecting Europe. Meanwhile, you have Zelensky wanting 90 billion in euros. And I'm going to tell you something. This is not going to bode well for Germany as far as the energy goes. They've already turned their backs and really would not work with Russia whatsoever, and wanted to send all these different types of military tanks, some that were used in World War II. Now think about how that would trigger some of the ancestors that are connected to World War II in Russia that lost. Don't get me started on that. That's a whole different topic. But you already know the Red Army took out a lot of these German Nazis. So the situation in Europe, it's not a good situation right now. And some of these weak leaders are going to be tested. Some of these regimes are going to fall. At some point, they're going to fall down. So even though these things sound horrific, they have to happen, it feels like. And if I were the leader of Hungary, Mr. Viktor Orban, I'd be very careful, because April feels significant for this man. Be careful if you're out in public meetings, Mr. Orban, because as a intuitive, I feel like your life is in danger. It's in danger now, but April feels more significant, especially around the 14th of April. Mr. Viktor Orban, be very careful, because I see a possible assassination attempt. I hope it does not happen, but I feel like it possibly could be something. Could foil and not transpire. And it will be based on what's going on with you and Zelensky, and you already know who's behind it without me saying it. All right, guys, so I thought I would cover that. It's crazy. It's really crazy, and I feel like we've talked about some of this in my prior videos. It's a strong chokehold because of what's going on in the Middle East and the oil and the gas prices. I can literally see the euro dollar, and I can see the American dollar just being choked because the economy is going to be screwed. That's the huge effect. Iran knows this, and they will prolong this as long as they can. So their revenge on us, yeah, there could be some attacks. Of course, we're going to see that, but it's going to really hit economically for Europe, and it's going to hit the United States too. The United States doesn't get a pass. They don't get out of this either. It's going to affect us too. All right, you guys, you have a nice weekend, and thank you all for listening, and I will see you all soon.